Morning, everybody. I'm glad that Lloyd did recognize when he walked through the room that I am young. So let's start off with that appreciation, right? And as for Peyton, I was really concerned that there wouldn't be enough room in here, but I can see that that's not an issue either. But I'm originally from New Jersey, so I'm a Giants fan. So I really wanted to come out with my Eli Manning signed jersey on, but I thought that would be a little bit tacky for Peyton, so I decided not to. But I really want to thank SAP, ASUG, and Eventful for really giving me the opportunity to talk about what I think is really some cool stuff that PG&E is now doing in the mobile space. And what I'm going to talk about today is a little bit about the existing process, which I would argue that most people in this room are probably doing, the old waterfall approach, taking projects, due dates, schedules, and that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that, and it's been successful for a number of years. But when you start hearing stuff like, the Internet of Things, and I hear we're SmartWorks, and you hear smart meter, and you hear smart data, all of a sudden all the stuff that we did years ago became smart, which it's still the same data, but the way we treat it and what we need to do with it has radically changed. And I think it's a great time to be in the utility business. We have a tremendous amount of challenges ahead of us, especially when you look at the cost of electricity and the pressures on using renewables, and the fact that the electric grid is going to be stressed to its limits. The way we operate and the way we deliver and the way we get efficiencies, we need to find different ways of doing that. And I think that's the approach that we took when I started up SmartWorks at PG&E. And what we're looking at is there's the next three items, design thinking, agile methodology, and an environment for success cannot be done one. They have to be grouped together. A lot of folks do agile, but without doing the design thinking about agile just gets you stuff done faster. It may not have the right end result because you may not be working on the stuff that you really are getting your efficiencies. So I really want to stress that those three things need to be working together. And the difference that you'll see right off the bat is you'll never see the word project anymore at anything that we're doing at PG&E in the mobile space, because we don't deliver projects. Projects have end dates, have start dates and end dates, and a lot of time, solutions are delivered to the guys and women in the field based on a date, not based on whether or not that application is actually ready to be adopted and used by the end users. Right? And I speak from experience. I was a crew leader, so my background is in gas operations, and I came up through the field. And my thought about when I build mobile solutions is always having the empathy for that person in the field. How do we make their job easier? Because Lord knows it's hard enough without all of the technology that we're expecting them to grasp. So our first product is asset inspection, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to it. PG&E, rather large utility, one of the largest combined utilities in the country, 15 million customers. But the 70,000 square mile service area is the part that's a challenge, especially when you're talking about the mobile space, right? Because our workers are not the ones that are sitting out there in San Francisco. They are, but we also have workers in the foothills of Bakersfield up to the Sierra Mountains. Much the same challenges that other folks in the room have in their territories. But you have to always make sure that when you're talking about a mobile solution that you're taking into account where those folks are working. So there's an error on this slide where it says development at utilities used to be. It actually should be still is. It's still slow. It's ever evolving. It's very static. It's usually non-collaborative, and it's definitely been IT-led. I am in IT. I've been in the business for 40 years. I'm in IT for 4 months. So the shock hasn't worn off yet. But that's the first change that our president of IT did, was bring business folks into IT to make sure that collaboration between the business and the technology folks was front and center. So I have the business experience, and I bring the business people in. So when you see some of the stuff that we're doing, it's a combination of business folks and IT folks in the same room collaborating together. So I could sit up here for 20 minutes, I could sit up here for 20 hours to talk about this, but the old adage is, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I have a couple of videos that really, I think, depicts what SmartWorks is and how we're working and how it's different, and it's a lot of the words that came from the folks that are on the team and some of the players in our company, and I really want to show that SmartWorks is an opportunity for a company the size of PG&E to radically change the way we do our business. We currently live in a technology area that has the likes of Google, Facebook, Uber, where technology should be and can be given to our employees, but yet 50% of our workforce go out on a daily basis and are asked to make split-second decisions based on paper. The vision of SmartWorks is to enable our workforce to make better decisions by giving them information at their fingertips.
In order to get there, we formed the SmartWorks team. SmartWorks is going to build and deliver mobile solutions in a very different way. We're going to bring the digital era into PG&E. That requires a different way of working, and so we are working Agile as SmartWorks.
The exciting thing about how we're operating this time is we have a center of excellence, which is a combination of the business and IT resources.
Agile is a very different way for working. I really enjoy the collaboration with the users. So for the first time, we're bringing the users in with us, and we are having that conversation to develop a solution together.
Just recently, over the last month or so, we actually did a lot of field visits with many organizations. We spent a lot of time in the field, really understanding their gaps and also their needs.
We have a product owner who is sitting there telling us what is meaningful, what it is that we need to get out the door. We have input from our technical leads who will tell us what of those things are feasible, what can we really do, and what can we get out to the end users in a fast, meaningful way. Then we have the designers who are telling us what's usable, what are these users going to want and how are they going to use it.
You don't really know when you're working with this team who's in charge. It's kind of like all of that goes away. These are teams committed to building a product, to achieving a goal, and everybody's working together.
Our philosophy really is learn by doing versus analysis paralysis. Everything we do is taking from the perspective of the end user, right? So everything's taking a humanistic approach versus a lot of time in technology projects, we take a technology-first approach.
Here it's more of an open mindset. What's the possible? What can we do? What could we possibly achieve? And that's, to me, that's important. It's important to visualize and determine what that North Star is, and then lay the path on how we're going to get there.
You just feel the energy in the environment. It's a small area. People are working together up on the whiteboard, using their daily huddle mechanisms, and there's just an incredible amount of collaboration and innovation, and that energy is contagious.
As an example of how the process is going to play out, at the beginning of March, our president, Nick Stravopoulos, gave us a challenge, and the challenge was to develop an app by the end of March. That's 4 weeks.
When Nick laid out the challenge, on the next break, I went right over to the team. I'm like, crap, what do we do? They already had some ideas.
That kind of challenge never even would have been asked a few months ago, but given the SmartWorks ability to do that, our team took it on. So we instituted what's called a hackathon.
And it's pretty exciting because the team just took off with that. The next day, they had a session where they strategized on what they could do and actually came up with 4, not 1 app that they could create, and then quickly brought in the right people, and within 2 weeks built 2 apps and delivered them by the end of March.
Everybody was rallying around the team. People were coming up, if you need help, we can do this.
And the excitement that was in here was like something I've never seen before, because people could actually see the end results of their thoughts being created in front of them. That kind of work would have taken months. Not just 6 months ago, would have taken us a lot longer if we had not been in the atmosphere and using the processes that we are in SmartWorks.
The SmartWorks engagements with the users is something totally different than we've ever done here at PG&E. They should expect to be fully engaged from the beginning of the initiative throughout the development of the product, including testing and providing feedback and input until it's finally in a great user state where they're not going to have any additional issues with it.
This is about getting as close to the users as we can, and it's designed simply based on how they do their job, not how we think they should do their job. And that, I think, is a significant difference from the way we've been developing in the past.
So the best part about that video is you get to see we get to wear hoodies, t-shirts, and jeans, which is just, that's why we look young, right? Because we're cool, My wife doesn't like that look, by the way, so trying to get past that with her. But I think you can see from the energy there, and even at the senior leadership level of the team, right? So the way we've done this is we have some great partners, right? So McKinsey's is our main partner, and McKinsey's the one that brought in what you see, the design thinking and the Agile methodology. And the reason I said they go together is exactly what the slide says, right? Design thinking makes you do the right thing, and Agile gives you the ability to do the right thing faster. So without the design thinking, the faster part's great, but you may not be doing the right thing. And there's nothing worse than doing the wrong thing quicker, right? So the design thinking is all about the empathy part of the job here. And it's making sure that we understand what the end user really is going to need. So you take the design thinking, which is a user-centered approach, right? And actually user-centric and getting out in the field. We do not do functional requirement workshops. We do not bring users in and spend 3 months doing a plan analyze. We send, as Lloyd said, those young guys that you're talking about and girls are 25-year-old Stanford graduates who I got to honestly tell you, when I first started this organization, I was really, really concerned about our ability to attract talented people in this space to come to a utility. We're competing with the Googles and the Facebooks and the Salesforces of the world in downtown San Francisco. But it was funny because what we offered that they don't, and since we have the opportunity for them to do what they love, which is to be really, really, out there and thought-provoking, but with the secure blanket of a utility, right? And when I asked some of the folks that we hired, why did you want to come to the utility? The answer was really great. They said, because I've been to my third startup in the last 3 months, and he says, I live in San Francisco now. I can't afford to know whether or not I'm going to have a job, right? So we've given them the opportunity to do what they love in an environment with the security of utility. So I got to be honest with you, getting iOS developers and designers in there has not been the challenge that I thought it was going to be. So the way we do this is everything we do is mobile first. I don't care what it is, it's mobile first. How am I going to get this on a mobile, and how am I going to do my job on a mobile? How am I getting that data from that mobile back to where it is? We've invested a ton of money at PG&E, and I've talked here the last 3 years about what we've done to get GIS up and running for all of our facilities and SAP to where it needs to be. Those are our core fundamental systems, SAP, GIS, and Documentum, right? They are the lifeblood of what we do. They are the ones that's where the data is, that's where it's stagnant. But that mobile technology is going to constantly keep changing, and we want to be in a place where we can offer those solutions really, really quick. So design thinking, and I'm going to kind of go through these slides a little bit quicker. It is about user needs, right? So as it sits here, for the first product, which was asset inspection, which is nothing more than what we did for pole inspections, we spent 400 hours in the field in the first 4 months. That's a lot of time, and 400 hours is not people like me who know the business. 400 hours are our designers, our scrum masters, and our product owners who know nothing about the utility business, nothing at all. We got these guys, they just graduated. They don't know a wire from a pipe, except one might be buried. But they do know how to watch you do your job and figure out where the inefficiencies are and redesign that out of there. Because the last thing I wanted to do was automate bad processes. Because the only thing you do, and excuse my language, and I told our president this, is I will commit to getting you crap faster, right? This is about redesigning the way we work and re-engineering the inefficiencies out by the way we can deploy technology in months, not in 6 months, 8 months. I'm talking weeks and days that we are. It starts with a vision. It starts with an aspirational state. We meet with the field guys and say, if you could have anything under the sun, what could it be? And when you think about that, it may sound, I want to be able to do graphical stuff. We had a guy who does leak survey that says, I have a really hard time where our gas mains go underwater detecting whether or not they're leaking. It would be great if we had gas-sniffing dolphins. So, aspirational state, thank God, is what we're working to. It's not what we're starting with. So I guess I got to call SeaWorld and see if I can get some dolphins. But this is what these guys start thinking. And then you actually storyboard it. And these are actual cartoons that our designers draw to make sure what the guys in the field are saying is what is being heard. And then we build a product from that. So you have an aspirational state, and our goal is to deliver a minimal viable product. What can I get in the hands of the users as quickly as I possibly can to make a massive difference in the way they work? Agile, I know everyone in here is familiar with Agile. I don't want to spend a lot of time, but it's basically how we're working. It's 2-week sprints. And everyone says, well, Agile doesn't give you any kind of structure or everything else. I'm going to tell you, having done this for years, I get more structure now because I can tell you every 2 weeks exactly what my team is going to deliver, right? I am a product owner. I'm a product owner of our strategy team, and that's our roadmap, our budget, our hiring, our vision. And every 2 weeks, there's tasks up on that whiteboard that my team is working against. So I would argue that I've never in my life had any kind of schedule in Microsoft project that could tell me guaranteed I was going to get deliverables every 2 weeks. It is just such a great approach and a great way to work, and it's so collaborative, and it is, like Lloyd said, the excitement in that room is palpable. I mean, you can actually feel it when you go in there. So turning the vision into reality, again, we have products. Products have lives, right? They're not projects. There is not an end date. The end date of a product is when it's done, when it's in sustain mode, when I've reached that aspirational state. The beauty of this is, and the hardest thing to communicate to senior leaderships is, when my senior leaders ask me, when am I going to get my next release, my next product, the answer my product owners will give them up to the president is when it's ready. That's when you're going to get it, not a day before. We don't have dates, right? It's about teaching a mindset that's different. One of the biggest things we get out in the Agile environment is failing fast. Failing fast in utility is not a really good thing. You know, it's not a custom, but that's what we want to do. We want to fail fast so we can learn fast, and then we can make those changes a lot quicker. The collaborative environment, what you saw in that first video was when we were in temporary space in Berkeley. We've now moved to the general office because I really wanted us in downtown San Francisco because we wanted to be able to attract that kind of talent. And we are in a different part of the building, and we are completely different than any other floor that's there. If you walk, like Lloyd said, if you walk into where we are, it looks like Google. Our first asset inspection, 4 months of delivery. 4 months. This is an organization that does over 15 million pole inspections who was on paper 4 months ago. Right? In 4 months, the team that did it is 20, 400 hours of research, 3.5 months to delivery. And the beauty of this is we have a release every 4 days. The KPI that I set for the team is that if you go out in the field and you get feedback, I want that feedback in code and re-delivered within 7 days. And we've done it at 4 days. We've gone live with a pilot, and after the first 4 days, after feedback from the end users using it, we ended up having our second release. We've made a decision. We are going total iOS from our mobile strategy, no Windows, no Android, all iOS for a lot of reasons, including security and others, and our ability to do these releases, because I could build code and send it down to an Apple like you do on your phone. The other benefit is there is zero training. Zero. Because I will argue almost everyone in this room has one of these, and I would venture to say I don't think any of us have gone to training to learn how to use these. And I'm going to show you the last video here, and you're going to hear testimony from guys in the field who yesterday were on paper, and I'm talking seasoned guys who've been on paper for 20 years, went in the morning, got an iPad, logged in the afternoon, we're sending work orders back to SAP without any kind of training. It's because of that user-centric approach and getting the end users involved from the beginning and building a solution that makes sense to them, not one that matches a current environment. This is a closer look at what we did. So again, these guys were on paper, 3.5 months. We took our GIS system and downloaded it down to an Apple device. We interfaced that to SAP because SAP is our core source system. That's where all our maintenance plans are. That's where our equipment is for pole inspections. Got rid of the paper forms because when I do that inspection, I have to have the ability to have corrective work assigned against it. That goes back into SAP. It gets reassigned to a repair crew. It has in-field collaboration, so we built the ability that if I'm out there, I have the ability to see where my closest worker is in case I have a question or I need a part or I need some assistance. And the biggest thing that we did after the first release is when we went out there, guys were telling it would be great if I knew if I had to call the customer or if there was a gate code that I needed access to get into a certain area. Came back in and we didn't even know it, but based on that conversation with the guy in the field, we realized that we had that data in our billing system. That night, they built that interface, downloaded it, and the next day when that guy went out for his inspections, he had that data available. So when you think about that from an end user standpoint, right? I go out to you, I ask you what you want. Old days, I'd ask you what you want. You tell me. I'd make a huge list of enhancements. I'd somehow get funding for about 60% of it. I'd prioritize that. It'd be a project, and 8 months later, you'd get something, right? Now I'm going out there, I'm talking to end users, we're getting their feedback, and within days, they're getting back what they told us they needed. So the adoption rate that we are seeing is like something we've never seen before because they believe that we can do this. A lot of skeptics in the beginning because historically we're really not good at how we deliver projects and technology like that. But this has really been a great success story. And this is just the first product of a 5-year roadmap that we have. At the end of 5 years, our plan is to redesign, re-engineer, and redeploy all of our mobile solutions for all of the 28 core processes within gas, electric, hydro generation, and nuclear and meter for the company. And I challenge my team that 5 years is an awful long time when we're building products in months. So I'll come back in a few years and let you know where we're at. So a couple quotes. Read the last one. You guys remind me of Steve Jobs building something in a garage. You think what you're doing is cool, but you have no idea how it's going to change the world. If we get this right, you're going to save this company millions of dollars. This is coming from an end user. This is coming from an inspector who's been doing his job on paper for I don't know how many years. To hear stuff like that, it's got to energize you on a daily basis, and this is what my team actually feeds off. I'm going to play one more video. It's actually after we went live with our asset inspection, and I think it really gets to the heart of what we're trying to do, and it tells you about the stories that are there. Before I do that, I got to say this doesn't come without challenges, right? We're working Agile. We're an organization of 50 in a company of 22,000. I got to tell you, the rest of the company is really not Agile, right? So we are constantly challenging any process that's agile, that's not agile. I'll give you an example, hiring. I gave the challenge to our HR team that I wanted to hire 25 people in 5 weeks. 25 people in 5 weeks. Our current status is from the time I offer you a job, it's 75 days till you walk through the door. Great. I don't know what quartile it is, but I know it's not first. I'll tell you that. So I met with the vice president of HR and said, how are we going to do this? And he says, well, what do you got, any ideas? I said, yeah. I said, I need a recruiter and I need a compensation person sitting in my room with me in SmartWorks for the next 2 weeks, making phone calls, getting resumes. We didn't hit the 25. We hired 19 people on the property in 5 weeks. Unheard of. So now, when you start doing this and you start asking why does it have to be done this way, you will be amazed at how receptive the rest of the organization is. We got a long way to go. I got a lot of minds to change. I got a lot of processes to challenge. But people are really starting to see the success. And we're just, as I said, we're just at the beginning of what the possibility is for them. So I'm going to play the video, and won't have time for questions, but I will definitely be out at the speaker's table if anybody wants to, have a chat or buy me coffee.
My name's Scott. I'm a compliance inspector out of Davis. I'm in Clarksburg here in a remote area, inspecting poles. Our main focus is keeping the public safe and also other PG&E employees.
The electric compliance department is responsible for patrolling and inspection all distribution facilities within the PG&E service territory. We will patrol or inspect a little bit over 2 million facilities a year.
It seems like we've gotten more and more paper every year I've been here, and now if you looked in my truck, I have a whole file in there. There's probably 8 or 10 different pieces of paper we have to fill out. We're now with the new app. It's all right there, no paper. Everything's electronic.
I think we calculated it once, it's like 3 million touches by the time all the pieces of paper end up in the file.
What makes me most excited about it is the efficiencies that it creates. We're used to calling to the office, and then sometimes it's a half hour before you, after conversations with the clerk, trying to pull maps, trying to find out where you are.
Some of the assets I inspect are located in remote locations, such as this vineyard that we're standing in. It helps me find these locations as opposed to using our paper maps. The satellite view especially comes in handy. Lets me see the eagle's eye view of where I need to go.
One of the greatest features of this app is having customer information, having the ability to know where there's a bag dog, a locked gate, access codes. Those type of things are just going to make us more efficient and create a safer environment for our employees.
I've been using the asset inspection app for the last 2 weeks now, and I find that its capabilities are already better than the old device that we were using.
I can get different views. Satellite view, if I want to get looking for a bridge or a gate maybe to get somewhere.
Just by being able to send them the data that they need or the maps that they need, and then also receive it back from the field without them having to take the time to drive all the way back in.
There's a little red kite, which is an alert, safety alert. It says there's a bad dog somewhere around here, so I'll click on there. I've got a phone number on there and a name, in case I need to get in the gate or let them know I'm coming, they can put the dog away. Here's a great feature on this thing. You can, if you're working and you have a problem, you have an issue, you need some help, go out, look around, and find where your coworkers are, your buddies. It gives me exact location where he's at. I know he's in Davis, not too far away, so I give him a call. He can come give me a hand, and it's also good for the supervisor. This thing is great. No paper, access information. I'm pretty low tech, and even I can figure it out. All in all, I think it's a great tool, and I'm looking forward to using it.
In the end, I really think this is going to be what we need as a company.
It simplifies a lot of things. I feel like that I'm more connected to my employees.
This time around, we get to pick and choose what needs to stay and what needs to go.
And I'm actually pretty excited for the rest of the company to get it.
This is going to be huge.
Thank you. Again, make the right thing, make it faster, be responsive, succeed together. I do have another challenge, is that I will challenge, SAP, vendors, other folks that work, that this is the new way to work, right? So we're all changing here, right? So it's going to take all of us to be able to be a lot more agile, a lot more responsive, and a lot quicker to how we develop these things. And I know that everyone that's involved in it is going to step up to the challenge. So thanks again. I really appreciate it.